I spent my whole damn life in the city. I could go for broke, but the capital is in me. I spent my whole damn life in the city. Anywhere I go, DC's coming with me. I spent my whole damn life in the city. I could go for broke, but the capital is in me. I spent my whole damn life in the city. Anywhere I go, DC's coming with me. I spent my whole damn life in the city. I could go for broke, but the capital is in me.
Welcome, everyone, to District Divided, a DC sports podcast, more specifically, a Washington Commanders podcast. I am Amit. That is KDot. We were off last week because, one, I was traveling. Congratulations to Krishna and Polly on their wedding in Chicago. It was a lot of fun.
Congrats.
And secondly, there's not a whole lot to talk about, honestly. So we just decided, you know what? Let's take a week off. Let's relax. And here we are. KDot, how are you doing? Are you ready to talk about some Commanders?
I'm doing well. I don't know about the second part.
I know, because once again, there's not a lot to talk about.
Not a lot to talk about. I mean, that's the thing is like we were talking about doing shorts and some other shit, but there's no context because there's nothing new really happening. I mean, we'll talk about what new is there, but I mean, I don't know about you, but I'd like to open it up to the people. And in this dead time, what would you like to see? I'm thinking that because we're reaching the end of the Dan Snyder era, maybe we start recapping certain aspects of the Dan Snyder era, whether it be rankings of worst contracts, best signings, worst moments, this, that, and the other. Is there anything that you guys want to see in this dead time for us? I mean, do you want us to just come on here and not talk about the Commanders? Do you want us to talk about anything? Yeah, porn collections, all kinds of stuff.
I don't know if you know this, guys, but we're pretty flexible right now during the dead season. And yeah, we're down to talk about whatever, but we do have a Commanders topic that we're going to begin with, which is we have Chase Young looking good at minicamp. We also have Montez Sweat saying Daron Payne has sort of paved the way and showing how it's done. He has shown you the blueprint. If you play really well, you ball out in a contract year, the franchise will reward you. Now, here's the thing. Chase and Montez in a contract year. Can we pay both of them? So that's going to be the question. We're then going to jump over to the comment mailbag, as we always do. Thank you guys for the birthday wishes in advance. I got to read a few of them. Really appreciate it. And then we go to After the Pod, where we will talk about Succession, because we have not had the chance to give our final thoughts on Succession. Although I did see your episode, KDot, the 90-minute episode.
Oh, thanks.
So I know some of your thoughts, but anyway, why don't we jump into it? Once again, Chase Young, we did not pick up his 5th-year option. He did not show up to OTAs, organized team activities. And then we have Montez Sweat, also in a contract year and also looking to get a long-term deal over here. KDot, the question is very, very simple. We have Jonathan Allen under a long-term deal. We have Daron Payne, long-term deal. Can we get essentially 4 down linemen? I know they're linebackers listed at times, but can we get 4 down linemen on long-term deals over here?
Probably not. I'd like to see it though. Because I mean, we've talked about this when it came to how we felt about the Daron Payne contract and then the Chase Young option, right? In the sense of I do look towards teams that have like that special thing, whether it be their special unit that they have that really sets them apart from everybody else. And to me, that's our defensive line, right? Like if they're all playing at the top level that we've seen them be able to play at together as a unit, it's the best defensive line in the National Football League. And that to me is something that puts you in the conversation for a lot of shit. If you could generate the pass rush, keep the run at bay, things like that. It'll always keep you in the mix, regardless of whatever's happening anywhere else. So that to me is something that should always be a priority, but it's just a financial thing. There is a salary cap in the NFL, and you can't pay for everybody. Otherwise, it's just an impossibility. I mean, you could try to Rams it as much as possible, but I think I've talked about how I feel about the Rams going in this season. I mean, they won the Super Bowl, so go for them. But I don't see how it is with other guys that are also going to come up for deals, right? So like Cam Curl is coming up for a deal. You've got Jeremy Reeves, those guys in the secondary are going to be coming up for deals. I think what you're end up seeing this year more than anything with like on the defensive line, we got Mathis coming back after the injury last season. He's back as far as the depth guy in the inside behind Payne, behind Allen. I think what you're really seeing this year is sort of a competition between Sweat and Young. If I'm being completely honest, I think
that's what it seems like, right?
It feels like it, right? It feels as though these two guys are trying to vie for who is going to be the guy here for us. Now, once again, I'd love if we can get them both in to do it, because I mean, Sam Howell, if he pans out at quarterback, that's something that you get to kick the can down the road just a little bit on as far as a quarterback salary, knowing that we don't have a Carson Wentz that we're paying for, knowing that if Sam Howell works out, the likelihood that we have a Jacoby Brissett in a $10+ million contract is not likely. There are some things that can work in our benefit if this team can win. Now that we can keep some of these guys around at least for a little bit before they become trade bait, which I'd rather them be than dudes that just end up walking away for nothing.
Yeah, of course. And there are also reports that Chase Young, we're open to listening to offers. And then you get into the nitty gritty of the actual article. And it's like, yeah, now that teams have filled, their holes in their rosters and stuff like that, they probably won't reach out, but if they did, then the Commanders would be interested, but the Commanders also planned accordingly. And so it's very unlikely that they would trade Chase Young just like that. So you are beginning, just to your point about trade bait, at least hearing that there might be a little something, but I highly doubt anyone moves at this point, especially one of Sweat or Young. That being said, this competition between the two of them is fascinating because I agree with you. I don't see how we sign both of them to long-term deals. I think one gets it, maybe neither, to be honest. I'm very curious to see because there is a lot of turnover here. I mean, we are going to have new ownership. Josh Harris meeting with the financial committee. A lot of turnover with the ownership, potentially with general manager, potentially with the coaching staff. We have no clue. So it's going to be interesting moving forward to see what happens. And so it really is one of those years where, hey, if your numbers look good, well then, yeah, you're probably going to get a long-term deal, but all the little, I have no idea. This is a very fascinating situation, a very unique one for that reason. In fact, if we got Hard Knocks, it'd be pretty freaking cool. What'd you say?
I want it.
Oh, I mean, how could you? Because this is going to be one of the storylines as well, is watching Montez Sweat, watching Chase Young, and the exposure for both of them, I think, would be fascinating. It's something they would need to leverage as Hard Knocks went on, should we get it, KDot. Yep. I think it'd be cool.
Yep.
Yeah.
No, I'd agree. I agree wholeheartedly.
I like full-heartedly is good. Is good too.
Full-heartedly.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just but if you look around the league, you look at any of these teams that are Super Bowl contenders, right? They all have premier pass rushers, or at least they're all able to generate pass rush, right? So the idea that going into this season, the articles that you hear about Chase Young being on the trade market, I don't necessarily think are, as you said, when you go into the nitty gritty, they're not necessarily accurate as much as if you're a team, you should be able to listen to anybody willing to offer anything. If the Kansas City Chiefs look and say, hey, you know what? We'd love to have that guy for our Super Bowl run. Let's offer something crazy, something Rams like to push us over the edge. Then, yeah, you'd have to listen to that. Right. If you got two premier guys that you're hoping both will pan out, but you do realize that just from a financial standpoint, you might not be able to get both of them in. It is what it is. But, this year, it's either got to be somebody on the move, or I'm hoping that they find a way to pay both of them. Because the only thing to me that you look at when it comes to not picking up the fifth-year option, stuff like that, is it would be, in my opinion, a bit of a travesty if they ended up having both of these guys having pretty good seasons and we get nothing in return for them and they don't end up signing.
Well, I also think there is every chance in the world someone gets traded by the trade deadline. I could see a situation where Montez Sweat is playing very well, let's say, but we have a losing record. And so it almost in a baseball situation, we turn into a seller. There is a team that maybe got an injury to a pass rusher and they believe themselves to be contenders, and all of a sudden you can get a first. I mean, it's entirely possible.
That would be huge.
Yeah. So
what the Khalil Mack trade for Raiders to the Bears a few years back, where they got a king's ransom for him.
It's possible.
It's possible. And you also got to remember the likelihood is that of the three big guys on defense that are going to get paid, be it the two guys we mentioned and Cam Curl, one of them I'd put at a 95% chance gets a franchise tag. So at least we'll know one of them will probably be kicking around, but we'll figure it out.
We will figure it out. Let's look at the other side of the ball, KDot. So Eric Bieniemy is still the shiny new toy of the offense, right? I mean, offensive coordinator in Kansas City. Now he's offensive coordinator over here. Some people thought it was lateral. Some people think he's vying for a move if Rivera were to move to the front office and he becomes head coach next season. a lot of variables there, but a lot of positive reports about Eric Bieniemy really getting after the guys. And I think, and by that, I mean, he's just yelling at them and saying they need to do it over and over again, which of course, as fans, you're like, oh, I love it. That feels good. And I think part of that is also our frustration with the offense, our frustration with the team, and him yelling at them makes us feel better. And just almost like, thank you for conveying our feelings to the players. So I think that's why everyone's like, I love it. Yes, keep doing it. KDot, what do you make of the early reports of Eric Bieniemy being fairly detail oriented and making sure these guys are getting it right, to the point of yelling at them pretty constantly?
I think you're 100% right. We are all kind of living vicariously through Eric Bieniemy to some degree, right? Yes. But I think that there's also some truth in the sense that it has been a while in Washington in which you can feel as though there's been any sense of urgency, which is something that you actually hear Eric Bieniemy talking about verbatim, right? He's saying the guys, hey, get the fuck out of the huddle. Yeah. Get out of the huddle. Let's go. Or even today, there were reports that he was like, no, I need another team in. The first team and the second team is not working. Get the other team in. No, we're not dealing with this. We're not doing this. Right. You look at there has been, look, there's different styles of coaching, right? So like I used to be a sales coach, very different from a football coach. But if you see in the Wolf of Wall Street or anything, there's some crazy shit that goes on sales floor. Okay. And face paint used to shoot people with stuff. It was
all right.
Yeah. The only thing was missing was a lot of cocaine, but
allegedly.
I'll pass. Yeah, allegedly. You know all about that. So the thing is, there are different styles of coaching, right? You don't always got to be a rah guy. I think you look back in the history books as far as the NFL recently, or recent history of the NFL. Some of the more rah guys, your Jeff Fishers, your John Grudens, don't necessarily leave the best taste in your mouth, right? But there is a certain balance with guys knowing, or there's a sense of urgency, and there's not a laissez-faire attitude when it comes to the football team, which is Ron Rivera. When we were hyped about the Ron Rivera signing in the first place, when he first got here, what did we look at? Everybody went and they looked at the Carolina Panthers video when he was cursing at the team, getting them hyped up, right? It's those sort of things. Because if you look at the Jay Gruden era, how many times did you see Jay Gruden on the sideline looking angry or upset, but kind of keeping it in himself, or this not necessarily knowing how it is that he's supposed to get the team motivated in a rah kind of way? You got to really look back. Jim Zorn, hip hooray guy. Like, is that where are we at? Right. So like, there is this old school football mentality that's sort of been missing from our coaching staff for quite some time, where I think that people just want to know, hey, these guys want and need, and they're showing us on the surface level that they give a shit. And it's not, we shouldn't ever think that nobody gives a shit, but we want to see it sometimes. And with an organization that's been so mediocre to below mediocre for so long, you just want to feel something, and Eric Bieniemy doing that makes you feel it, especially for this coach that I criticized last year about.
I was right there with you. Yeah,
you remember there was the Scott Turner. You had guys that looked like they were afraid to be confrontational. They were afraid to have certain conversations. And when you hear what you're hearing from Eric Bieniemy, you're hearing a guy that doesn't sound like he'll be afraid to talk to Ron Rivera, or I want this, or I disagree with that. And it's just a breath of fresh air.
Right. It absolutely is. And one of the things that I had also wanted to mention is that, so Eric Bieniemy, of course, he's getting after people. You had mentioned Ron Rivera, and how you get clips of these coaches showing that they care, right? That, of course, is useful, but it's also, like we've been echoing already, it is the dead part of the offseason, and fans, and there are tons of us, right, that are diehard fans, are starved for information. Heck, even us, we were like, what are we going to talk about before this? We were like, what on earth are we going to talk about? And here's what we're talking about: a coach yelling at players, and we're living vicariously through him. So like, and it's positive for us, the way we think about it. So this is very much also just pinch of salt rather, that relax. We still need to see us against another team ultimately. And I guess this is turning into an episode where you and I are vouching for us to be on Hard Knocks. I would absolutely love to see the team on Hard Knocks, and imagine our episodes just for a moment. How cool that would be if we ended up getting Hard Knocks.
Well, here's the thing with the Hard Knocks. Well, yeah, of course. We now know what we're going to be talking about.
Yeah, it would be awesome. Right? We would just do episode reviews.
It'd be amazing. Be the maybe you get 2 a week from us again. But the idea that you could look at this. Look, Hard Knocks to me, the reason I've been so anti it here in Washington was because of this organization, because of dysfunction in the organization.
Yes.
I don't want people to shine a light on what's happening with Snyder and this, that, and the other, in the sense of, not because I don't necessarily think it could be a good thing, but I don't want to be a laughing stock. Like the only Hard Knocks memory I have of my football team is DeAndre Hopkins injuring D'Angelo Hall after he talked shit. Right. So like, I don't want.
Yeah, it was not great.
It was terrible. Right. So like, on a national stage, anytime we see Washington, it's always sort of been embarrassing. And I didn't want another reason to feel embarrassed. Right. So, but if there's any point in time that I look at this organization, I'm saying, all right, this is the right time to do it. There's a ton of entertaining things happening behind the scenes as far as what we talked about as far as Chase Young, Montez Sweat, their personalities. On offense, there's a ton of Emmanuel Forbes on defense. There are a ton of great personality types on this team. Then you're looking at offensively, that wide receiving room. Lord knows I just want to exist within it or to see what's going on with it.
Terry, Han, like
all
be
those guys.
So cool. Curtis Samuel as well. Yeah.
To see Eric Bieniemy in his natural element doing what he needs to do, you can already tell the way that he conducts himself in interviews and everything. That's a media trained dude that knows how to make things interesting, and that's fun. And we don't have to worry about Snyder being in the building. That could actually be something that's hilarious.
Well, and I also think it's
empty
a owner's
office.
That would be great. I think it's a compelling selling point as well. Like, okay, now let's have a look at the organization that's going through the turnover and ownership.
Yep.
We don't know what's happening with Ron. We know nothing about Sam Howell. And you've got Eric Bieniemy. You've got, I don't know. I think it would be a lot of fun. You got the Chase Young situation. You got Montez. Again, we talked about that storyline.
Jason Wright buying
Jason Wright. There would be a number of angles. So here are the 4 teams for Hard Knocks that are, I think, not only eligible, but also just might be the top 4.
There's one that's better.
There's the Jets. There's the Bears. There's the Commanders and the Saints. If you were to rank those.
Jets.
Right, of course the Jets. But then after that, Bears, Commanders, or Saints. You think so? Not the Bears? Not the Bears necessarily?
No, because the Bears, the only thing that the
Bears
really have.
I mean, it's kind of cool.
It's the only thing you have going.
Summertime Shy. Maybe you record them going out together as a team.
No, Justin Fields, to me, while he's an interesting dude, he doesn't strike me as somebody he's not. Most quarterbacks are fairly boring. At least what they do in the sense of like their media presence. They're very aware of that, right? Most of the guys that try to do too much on Hard Knocks and doesn't end up working out too well for them, and then they get like a kind of target put on their back. I don't think Justin Fields will be that guy. He'll be fucking boring, right?
I think so too.
Aaron Rodgers wouldn't be able to help himself, which is why I want the Jets in my
So you're pleased so long as it's Jets or Commanders.
I'd be extremely pleased if it was either one of those. I mean, the Saints are interesting only in the sense of the Derek Carr thing, and then also understanding and hearing that John Gruden's in the building, helping Carr do things with that. That's interesting to me, and the fact that wasn't really a story that anybody talked about was that John Gruden's back in some capacity in the NFL.
Okay.
So that could be interesting, but yeah, I'd rank those 2 low. To me, it's really a 2-tier system. I'd actually say it's 3 tiers, because if I'm being completely honest with myself, the Jets are clearly the most interesting. I mean, Sauce Gardner on defense. Come on, dude. You're not going to want to watch that? Just from an entertainment standpoint.
We get Emmanuel Forbes also. I mean, it would be pretty cool to see how
Sauce
he's
doing. Sauce, how many years has Sauce been in the league?
I mean, this is year 2.
He's the best cornerback in football.
You already think he's the best cornerback in football? I'm looking forward to the comment mailbag, because best corner in football already.
Well, you know what's crazy? You know who the second best cornerback in football is?
Who?
Patrick Surtain. These young cats, man.
I'm
hoping Forbes got some of that
content we need. I need to begin thinking about this.
I hope Forbes has that young thing where he comes in and he's out the gate doing what these other 2 cats are doing. But Gardner and Surtain, yeah, because the only other dudes that are really in the conversation for me. You can't put. I mean, I love Jalen Ramsey. I'd love to have Jalen Ramsey on my team. I just don't think I just, after what I've seen and how he's getting up in age, I mean, he's not old, but he's getting up in age. Like the upside.
Jalen Ramsey right now. I'm looking it up.
He's got to be what, 28, 29?
Is that all? 28.
Might be older than that.
Yeah, 28. He's young, man. Jeez.
like I said he's young, but he's getting up there. Like he's not. And plus, he was never the fastest guy anyway. Like if I'm just telling you, Sauce Gardner, Patrick Surtain, 1 and 2.
Okay,
which is nuts to say. I get it. But
hey, you talk about Jalen Ramsey. He's an Emmanuel Forbes fan.
I know Sauce Gardner had positive things to say about
so just say it.
I mean, hope he's got that juice.
Everyone loves a ball hawk. Everybody loves a ball hawk. Any final thoughts on Commander stock before we move to the Comment Mailbag?
Oh, I guess there's one other thing, which is that Mitchell Rails and Josh Harris were in the league offices today going over the numbers.
Mm-hmm.
Which there we go, another step
in the right direction.
And if it's not them, it'll be some Saudi Arabian.
If we hear anything crazy about those numbers, we will drop an emergency pod. I'll tell you that right now.
Watch for the Saudi Arabians.
Watch for them because they're doing all sorts of crazy stuff in both the football worlds right now. Golo Conte just got €100 million a year. It's crazy the money that's being doled out in golf, in soccer, and maybe the NFL. Anyway, let's get to the Comment Mailbag. We have 8-9 comments, something like that.
Thanks, guys.
Beginning with Amit Singh. I misspoke on the episode. Oh, it was me. I'm Amit Singh. I misspoke on the episode. Flow of the moment. OTA equals organized team activities. The O does not stand for optional, though they are voluntary. Thanks for the birthday wishes, KDot. Once again, I greatly appreciate those. First time I've ever got to love my own comment here on the Comment
It should
Mailbag.
stand for optional.
It should, right? Because thank you. Okay, so in the flow of the moment, we actually said what was probably the right thing. Not the correct thing,
team activities. What organized? What the fuck does that mean? Like,
are there any unorganized? Are there any UTAs? Like, what's going on there?
What the fuck?
Just OTAs.
Organized training camp.
Yeah, come on.
I say organized. It is optional.
It is optional.
It makes more sense to put it in there.
It would also, I think, reduce some of the media storm as well. Organized team activities. Come on. Anyway,
so stupid.
Well, how about an OG, Vindo? Shout out, Vindo. Hey, guys, sorry I missed last week's comment. Yeah, that's totally fine, Vindo. Don't you worry about it. You're an OG now. You don't need to worry about it, but comment every week. I know this is old news, but what do y'all think about the Andrew Luck tampering info and how the Colts thought we talked to him to see if he was willing to come back? I think it's crazy, but I wouldn't be surprised if Snyder talked to someone at this point. Do you think that we talked to Andrew Luck? That's one. And do you think we were very serious about trying to bring him back?
I remember hearing the story that we talked to everyone. And when I heard
everyone,
and the thing was that I heard that there was even a call to the Kansas City Chiefs about Mahomes. I heard it was everyone. They were kicking the tires on every possibility. And to me, that meant not necessarily talking to Andrew Luck himself, but meant contacting the Indianapolis Colts. Now, the thing is that if you're the Colts, if you're the Chiefs, if you're the Bills, and Washington calls you and asks for Josh Allen or Mahomes or Luck, you probably laugh them off the phone and you don't even contact your team owner to let them know what the fuck happened because it was such a ridiculous call in the first place, right?
Right.
So Jim Irsay is a wild card of an owner. Okay, he likes to engage in a lot of the Colombian snow that Amit likes to, and he gets a little crazy on Twitter. And he fucking just rattles off shit immediately. Look, I love him in some circumstances. If it wasn't for him, maybe we're not having the owners to push Dan Snyder out the way that we are right now, right? But sometimes he just speaks a little too loose without necessarily checking what the deal was. So when he saw anything in the media about Washington was doing that, he said, not so fast. We'll put everybody in their fucking place right now, right here. And if he went and talked to his front office as the league did the investigation, he would have found out, no, dude, we didn't take it seriously.
And you know what? I'm still thankful for Amir Say, just as you mentioned, because that loose cannon got this thing going with I see grounds for it. I think we should have that conversation when everybody else was tight-lipped and clearly agreed not to say anything. And Jim's like, yeah, I got something to say. So appreciate it. On to Tony. Shout out Tony. And I wonder if it almost feels like you read his comment ahead of time because here we go. Happy born day, Amit. Thank you, Tony. I really appreciate it. Hope you enjoyed your day. I very much did. It was a lovely day. It was a lovely Wednesday. I can imagine you out at the club sniffing white railroad tracks, screaming, all aboard the A train, ladies. Next up, Pound Town.
Say that one more time. Say that one more time.
I would never do that.
Say just repeat his comment. Just say it one more time.
All aboard the A train, ladies. Next stop, Pound Town. I repeated it.
Okay, I can do some stuff with that.
No, you do.
I caught myself speaking through your last moment, and I wanted it to be clear, and I can keep up with it. AI is awesome.
We'll see what you do with that. But I wouldn't do that. I really appreciate it, Tony.
We know what our first shirts are going to look like. Tony, you get a cut. You get a cut, buddy.
Tony, I think Tony does get a cut, especially if we do end up selling a few of these as well.
All aboard the A train, ladies! Woohoo! Clarendon, here I come.
We go to Vindo again. OG, shout out Vindo.
Run them lines, girls. Run them lines. A train here. Rest in peace, Iron Sheik.
Yes, rest in peace, Iron Sheik. Lost a legend. Golf is my favorite sport because it makes the best of the best look like amateurs sometimes. I've been playing for 10 years and my handicap is still double digits, but it's more about the connections and tranquility that comes with it. But I'll be honest. Bindo's going to be honest. It takes a lot of patience, like smoking meat. It's a long process, but if you stay with it over time, you will get better. Next time you play, add 2 strokes to each hole. It makes you feel better when you finish, and over time, you will get better. Best of luck to y'all, for real, and I look forward to hearing about your experiences with golf. P.S. It's a love-hate relationship, my guy. I really appreciate it, Vindo. Now,
I got to say, adding 2 strokes to any hole does make me feel better when I finish.
You're on a roll, man. You're on an absolute roll right now. I did lose the golf match to Regan, unfortunately. I played my best round ever. I even got a birdie on the first hole. Never gotten a birdie in my life. Haven't even hit par in my life. Might be the only person in human history to have a birdie, but not a par. And I've played a few times now. Absolutely ridiculous. But like KDot mentioned, what'd you say one more time?
I don't remember. Say,
when you add 2 strokes
to any hole, makes me finish a lot better.
It
makes me feel a lot better when I finish.
Oh,
first of the 2, a little slow, and then last one,
Move on.
You know how it goes. A-train, baby, 2 strokes and I'm out.
Okay. Given that I have some creative control with the shorts, I would like you to make as many shorts as possible of you doing that. So, just the comment mailbag, just your highlights of the comment mailbag. It's going to be over a minute. I'm just letting you know right now. We move on to Blood Clot. What a great comment mailbag. This is awesome.
Thanks, guys.
Really appreciate it. Blood Clot, another OG. 3 comments. 1. If we have a name change, I'm still hoping for the Washington Sentinels. Yes, the Replacements movie, but the name is fitting for Washington. I submitted a fan design and everything. Oh, that's awesome. All right. I submitted a fan design and everything before I realized they just threw all the submissions in the wastebasket. Send it to us. I'm sorry. That was good at thought number 1. Send it to us, Blood Clot. We'll throw it on the episode. I'll edit it in.
Yeah.
Be great. 2, I'm excited. Oh, yeah. You can DM me on Twitter. We follow each other on Twitter, so just DM it there and I'll throw it on. 2, I'm excited for Sam Howell, not only because of the glimpse we saw last season, but for immense value of discovering your franchise QB while he's in his rookie contract. That is priceless. That's the dream scenario for every NFL team. And 3, Amit, don't know if you'll read this comment before your match. I play now and then, but of all the many things involved in a golf swing, if you have the basic mechanics, this one I find most important. Do not lift your head to see where your ball goes. Thankfully, I took that under advisement and did not lift my head. But I still didn't play well enough, unfortunately. Look at the ball and keep your head still. When you swing your head is the one constant that should not move, or at least the last part that moves. The only thing that should move your head is your shoulder at the end of your swing. Still working on that part a little bit. Oh, one more thing. I started Succession a while ago and liked it, but never got back into it. It kept reminding me of Arrested Development minus the funny and with actual terrible people, but I have to watch it. We're going to talk about it after the pod, Blood Clot.
And I actually have something for that very much particular. We'll talk about it after pod, but it's the test to know whether or not someone will like Succession or not. There is a foolproof test now.
Okay, so what we'll do is we'll do the foolproof test of it, then we'll jump into the finale so that at least people can hear that, and then we can do the spoiler alert stuff. And then we got Earl Bruce, another OG.
Earl.
I'm 70. Been a fan since 1962, which is around the last time the air quality in New York is as bad as it is now. Redskins is no longer an acceptable name. Commanders is fine with me. Life is about change, except to move on. You'll be happier. Words of wisdom there, Earl. And one more from Earl. Amit, happy belated birthday. Thank you very much, Earl. I appreciate it. So he's dropping nuggets of wisdom on us, and the belated birthday wishes. Really appreciate that. And then we've got...
Just love the fact that when Earl, what was 1962? Is when he started watching?
Yeah, a bit of fans in 62. Yeah.
When we integrated.
About another
Bobby Mitchell.
Bobby.
Yeah, our team is problematic as shit.
And then I'm trying to get the whole name of this person. It's the last comment here. Nothing can stop what's I'm gonna get it's C ... I'm guessing coming. Nothing can stop what's coming. Shout out for the comment here. And I'm sure KDot has a
two strokes
has a thought. Yep, there it is. I like that song. We do too. The one at the very beginning, I assume, which is by Pauly Polo. It's called The District. I'll drop the link over here. And that was the comment mailbag. This was District Divided, DC Sports Podcast, more specifically, a Washington Commanders podcast. I am Amit. That is KDot. If you enjoyed today's episode, I most certainly did. I almost felt like I was a listener with KDot just in absolute rhythm.
All aboard the A train, people. Ladies,
please like the video. Please subscribe to the channel. Please share the video.
With your friends. I'm here. Get them railroad tracks ready for you, boy. Oh yeah.
And please comment on what you just heard. If we would greatly appreciate it. Also, if you have topics for us, we're more than happy to indulge in those. And oh boy, you know what? It's after the pod energy starting right now. That is bravo, sir.
Not a problem.
Incredible. Oh my goodness. That I honestly tried to keep it together too, but once you got going, there was just nothing I could do.
It's too great, man. The A train, baby. You are the A train. It's a new character. I love it. I love it.
That was a brilliant comment. No, the moment you had mentioned the cocaine and then or the Colombian snow or whatever it was, and then I saw Tony's comment, I was like, oh boy. This is just smoothly transitioned.
We're just fucking perfect, man.
Yeah. I mean, you and Tony feels like you guys just have chemistry despite having never met, as far as I know.
Yeah, I don't think I've met. But it works, man. You know?
It really does.
This is the thing. It's a family, man. These comments, we're a family here.
We are a family.
We're not breaking any records with our views just yet. We're getting there though. And it takes you guys and the commenters and us gelling in the way that we do to know that you're really building something, right? Like this is the ground. So like when we move to like Patreon and stuff a year from now, and we'll know that these are our OGs. These are the guys that are grandfathered into everything that we do, right? And then they spread the word, and that's when we get bigger. But these guys are the ones that rock with us from the beginning.
That's exactly right. Love each and every one of you in the comment mailbag. It is awesome. I mean, honestly, KDot and I get so excited when we see the same names. We're like, all right, here's what we got. It does feel like a big, happy family. We really appreciate that. Let's get to your succession test. So you have developed way. Not developed. You saw this.
So on the succession pod that I did for the other channel, where did I even put it? Oh, ASOS. All sorts of sports channels.
Was it called the Waystar Weekly? Is that what it's called?
So I was doing the podcast with Brennan, who's been on here,
and Keem.
So I was doing regularly a podcast called The Extraordinary Nobodies.
Yes.
And on The Extraordinary Nobodies, we would do a weekly segment or a weekly episode called the Waystar Weekly. But we've put that entire podcast on hiatus for right now. So what it is that we did was that it said, all right, let's bring back the Waystar Weekly. We're going to put it on the All Sorts of Sports channel. Okay. So we're doing a bunch of content that's like not sports related right now.
Which is great. It's a great outlet for it. I personally really enjoyed the episode. I thought it was a lot of fun. Yeah.
But Keem is the one who came up with the test because he was talking to a friend of his and they were wondering. So like I was at a Memorial Day weekend which was that was when the Succession finale came, I think.
Yes.
Week before.
Yeah, because I watched it the Monday. The Monday. Yeah.
So around me and like my sister-in-law, we wanted to talk about it nonstop. And and one of my dad's cousin was there, and she's like, I gave it a shot. I didn't really like it. It was my philosophy is that if you were to tell somebody that it's a comedy, then they'll understand it more than looking at it as like just some prestige drama TV. But then, and while I think that's not too far off, Keem perfected it. And I do agree with him wholeheartedly on what he said was the litmus test, which is in the pilot episode of Succession, the softball scene with Roman and the kid. Gardner's kid.
Yes.
If you find that entertaining, if you find that funny, in any way, shape, or form, the show's for you. Okay. If you don't like that moment, if it makes you to a point where you're just like, you didn't find entertainment value in it, you're probably not going to like Succession. It is a great test.
Interesting, because I would probably fall on the side of, I don't think I found, I'm trying to think if I found it funny.
It's not even funny. Did you find it entertaining?
Yes. I think it was entertaining. So I think the word entertaining is great, because if you do get some entertainment out of it, or even a reaction out of it.
It's reacting. Yeah, it's mainly
reacting. If you get a reaction out of that scene, and those that have seen the show clearly know what we're talking about, but once again, we're committed to no spoilers, at least for a little bit here. Yeah, I think that's good. I think if there is some sort of reaction and it makes you feel a certain way, and if it makes you feel a certain way, yes, I think you will enjoy the show.
I think it's more of a positive reaction about the show and seeing that scene. So it's not necessarily that you feel positive about the character. You shouldn't. But the idea is
how could you feel positive about the character?
Right. But the idea is like, wow, they went there. This is the asshole. Like, okay. All right, I'm in. Like, where's he going to go with this, right? So it's like, but I have heard some people, because that, to me, it's hilarious. It's fucked up, but it's so funny to me. It's funny how fucked up it is, right? So like, when I watched that scene, I was sold.
And it is a wild scenario. Right, like the scenario that's presented to. Anyway, so go ahead.
It's fucking nuts. I mean, we're not. I wanted to keep it spoiler light, so I'm not going in all.
So I'm not either. So just mentioning that a scenario is presented.
There's a scenario that is presented, and somebody does something, and it is up to how it is you react to that is going to be a litmus test to me on how it is you like the rest of the series. If it's not something that you think is okay, if you think, all right, this is not going to be something that I find entertaining at all. Then this show is probably not for you, and I will think less of you. But the
right, all right. You know what? We've been talking about Strokes a whole lot. This has been more than enough Strokes. We're about to talk about the finale. 5 seconds. Wow, a lot of this just ties together. You have 5 seconds to leave if you have not seen the Succession finale. All right, because we're going to talk about it. 1, 2, 3, 4. It's about to be your fault. 5. KDot, I have not seen The Sopranos. I have not seen The Wire. And I need that noted because I feel Succession is the best show I've ever seen.
It's important to see those other two.
But I just want to say, so when I say it's the best show I've seen, I have missed 2 iconic shows. I've seen Breaking Bad. I have. And El Camino, but I've not seen Better Call Saul.
Same here.
Which I've heard is incredible. But
I think I'm going to like it more than Breaking Bad.
I think Succession is the best show I've ever seen.
It is the second best show I've ever seen.
Behind
The Wire.
Okay. So had you not seen The Wire,
but it did surpass The Sopranos.
There you go.
Which was nuts for me. It was hard for me to do that.
Wow. All right.
Yeah, it was tough. But the thing is, I knew 3 episodes before it ended that it had done it. I knew like 2 or 3 episodes before it. Yeah, we talked about it.
We talked about that.
Yeah. I knew it was done. So like the finale itself was just it was awesome. Now, do I think it's like the greatest show finale of all time? No. But it was, they stayed true to the characters. They saw it through, and I'm completely satisfied with the ending, even if it left me unsatisfied in certain ways. Like I understand it. I comprehend. There's nothing that I need to figure out anymore. They gave me everything I need to know to be able to walk away from this thing. Only missing I would want more just from a selfish standpoint. But the story ended in a great in a way that it should have. They could have continued, but they didn't need to.
I agree. I think it ended as well as it could have. I don't know what else they really could have done. For me, it didn't feel rushed. Maybe a little bit, maybe, but not in the finale itself. So maybe it felt a little bit rushed beforehand, but when you consider that all this took place over the course of 2 weeks in their universe, I think they covered quite a bit. And I don't think it felt rushed for that reason. So I thought it was absolutely excellent. I had zero issue with the way it ended. In fact, I didn't quite see it coming. There was a moment I thought of you. Because we talked about the Greg thing, and I was curious what you thought about it, because there was a moment where I went, this is where it happens. And I'm curious to know if you ever had a moment like that where you went, this is how it happens, or it's going to happen now.
No.
Okay.
You remember as soon as I dropped the Greg thing, because we and you, after we ended the pod, we talked about it for another like 30 fucking minutes.
Yes, we did. Yes, we did.
Yeah, we just wanted to keep talking about it. And we lost track of time. I had to run. But he was like, I told you that it lined up for me that it was Greg, but because it lined up for me, it was Greg. I did not think it was Greg. Like there was a part of me that like, I thought I'm not as smart as Jesse. I don't think he'd telegraph it like this. Because I think this is the case, it can't be the case.
I need to be 100% clear. When other people heard, I first asked, are you open to predictions and stuff like that? I said, yeah. And so I'd mentioned what you had said about Greg. No one I talked to thought it was going to be Greg.
Yeah.
So from that perspective, when you talk about telegraphing it, it most certainly was not telegraphed to most people. And it also didn't end up being the case.
So this is where it comes in. It's not. So this is going to sound so convoluted, but I'm going to try to keep it as clear as possible. I'm trying to be clever with thinking it's Greg.
Yes. Okay.
Because I'm trying to be clever, I know I'm not as clever as Jesse.
But I think
I could think of something clever in that way, then it wouldn't be that.
So there's a moment in the finale where to me, I was thinking through it, if one thing occurred, I think it becomes Greg.
What's that?
When Shiv calls Mattson. I think if he picks up, I think it might be Greg.
But see, the thing is, when Shiv calls Mattson, it's already done.
What's already done?
Tom is the guy.
Not necessarily.
No,
see, so here's the
remember
thing.
they pull her name. Remember they
pull her name. Yeah, they pull her name.
She calls Mattson because Kendall has already found out it's not her.
What happens if he picks up? Okay, now bear in mind this is, but let's say he did, right? For a moment, let's say he did. Right? Because he doesn't know that she knows.
Right.
Because what was the conversation at dinner with Tom?
Yeah.
I mean, first off, what a scene.
That's when it was sold to me. Like the interaction between Tom and Greg, it was like,
okay, cool. It's going to be Tom. It's over.
Yep.
But then he also says, can you keep this to yourself? Like, don't tell anybody. And Tom doesn't. But Greg uses the app to figure out what's being discussed. So he finds out it's not her. If she calls minutes after that and immediately goes, it's not me, and gets upset, it looks like Tom may have said something. If it looks like Tom said something, and then Mattson loses trust, this is where my brain was going. And Mattson loses trust in Tom, going, I just told you minutes ago, this was yours. Is it because I said I would fuck your wife or like wanted to? Is that what it was? Like, because that was a test too.
I see your thought process.
But then all of a sudden,
I don't think he buys it.
Okay, fair enough.
Because I think Tom then says, no, I did not tell anyone.
Well,
And
why would he admit to it? So then
because
all
he
of a sudden
just told the man, I want to fuck your wife.
I understand. And then he said no, and then he had a human moment, and he decided to tell because he's like, fuck it
I
all.
think Mattson knows. Mattson knows that he's not going to do
But
that.
in that case, like, it is entirely possible. I mean, then the next step is, well, did he just tell Shiv? Did he tell Greg also? No way to know that he told Greg, but I am thinking he told his, you see, so like, that's
I get your thought process. I will say, so I was talking to Brendan about it, and I had explained to him what I thought about Greg, and he shot it down immediately. And the reason he shot it down, and I agree with him, is that it was more like Veep, the Julia Louis-Dreyfus show, than it would ever been like Succession. And that's the thing, is that if you look through that, the same way that you're saying, like, Mattson, what if he picks up the phone call? He would never pick up the phone. Those are the things that make Succession top tier, right? It's like, as much as we can try to assume, no, and the thing is that, and if you look at it, it was Tom all along. We should have never doubted it was Tom. Like, it was clearly Tom the entire way.
It was incredible, right? Because
none of us were saying it.
None of us were saying it. He's at ATN. He's doing all the damn work. And all we're doing is focusing on the siblings. We're like, which one of these three is it going to be? That's how it's being sold. And we're just paying attention to these children that don't have anywhere close to qualifications of at any level.
Yeah. Go further. Go. The idea is, so it is my opinion, if you're looking at what Succession means in the sense of Logan Roy, right? Logan Roy's true successor was always Mattson.
Yes, I would agree. And he
right?
wanted to sell. Yeah, makes sense.
But who did Logan pick to be his second guy? Tom. It was Tom. He's helping Tom with divorce advice and lawyers and all kinds of shit over his kids. Tom is the guy that was in the room the entire time. Tom is the guy that was the first one to respond to him dying. Tom is the one that's been in Logan's pocket this entire season.
But that's also because of the end of season 3. Like, Tom makes the choice.
But that's the thing. When Tom makes that decision, and it goes before that, though, because if you look at the end of season 2.
Oh man, you even think about what he said. You have to be a killer if he's willing to do that to his own wife.
He loves them, but then you also know what did Logan always tell Tom? If I'm with you, if we're good, we're good. Tom was willing to go to jail. He was going to go to prison. Yes, he was. But Logan respected it. It was a loyalty move.
Right. He didn't look like okay. Because initially it was like, oh, Tom's being a bitch by just doing this.
No, Tom was just being
weird.
Instead, remember Tom eats the chicken off of his plate. He's spazzing out. But at the end of the day, he is loyal to Logan. When Kendall tries to go get Tom at the diner in Richmond, when they're trying to decide that Menken's going to be the guy, and Tom looks at Kendall and says, look, I'm not going to go with you because every time I see you, you're getting fucked. I've never seen Logan get fucked. Tom
interesting. Right.
It's always been Tom. And that's the thing that, like, when you sent me the video, the one that went viral, the TikTok of the girl that was looking up Bill Wom scams and everything, the idea, this is how great this show is. The idea that we would have to dig into the history books of baseball to try to figure out names of these guys and what it would mean, when as clear as day, it was always Tom. We just never thought it would be Tom. And we were all brilliant. Team Tom before the season started. We're Team Tom. And then we lost complete faith in him when we shouldn't have, because he was always there. He didn't believe in himself. Maybe that's what we bought into.
And I think one of the most fascinating parts, and you had mentioned it as well, and I thought about it, as they had mentioned it was Tom, was the funeral. And he was working instead of not being there when everyone was like, you should be there. Like, it's almost disrespectful if you're not there. And he's like, no, I have to, like, I'm putting out fires. So, like, showing the commitment to work.
Mattson reacts to it.
Yeah. So I don't know. It was a really, really cool show. That's why I had no issues with the finale. That's why, and the boardroom scene between the kids, I mean, in the other room, where it really is as simple as, I just don't want to give you the toy. That's it. That to me is what that was.
I think there's some of that. I think because look, at the end of the day, anytime the kids are around each other, they do revert back to being just children. And it's funny that we call them kids and they're all fucking 30, 40-year-old.
Age is just a number, and that works both ways.
Right? So like,
yeah.
But the highs of Meal for a King and being in love with the scene and being so happy that everybody's getting along brought back shades of when the season starts off. Romy, when they're gonna buy, and we're just so happy that the siblings are together and they're doing this, that, and the other. And then they always revert back to something. But to me, it's the moment that it's not the moment that I'm like, oh fuck, was the moment that Kendall puts his feet up on the desk and they do the shot, and then he's talking to Stewie.
Yep.
And they do the shot to Shiv, and Shiv should have the same feeling that I know I had, and I know that she would have to have, which is like, he's gonna shut me out. He's gonna do exactly what he's always,
because it was an immediate negotiation just between him and Stewie. There was no Stewie, what should we do?
Too comfortable. He's the king. He's this, that, and the other. This is not going to end well for me or him or anyone because he's already fucking.
But another thing I think was Roman's hesitation in the moment. He ended up saying no, but he waited. And I think it validated Shiv's feeling also, because you see her look at Roman and there's silence for a brief moment. And you even hear Kendall go, come on, Rome. Like, waiting, almost pushing him to say it, and then he finally does. But that pause, I think, alone, after they had all agreed, the two of them agreed to make him king, right, was also enough for Shiv to go, I'm having some second thoughts. Oh, so is my brother. Okay. So that validates my feeling as well.
I think I read it differently than you. I think to me, I think she was hoping that she wouldn't be the deciding vote. I think that to me was like, she won the easy out. Before she got into that room, I'm telling you, the moment she sees Kendall with his feet on the desk, she's a no.
Yeah.
And when they're going around the table, she is hoping, praying, wishing that she's not the deciding vote.
I don't think she was a complete no just then.
I can see what you're saying.
I think she was like oh boy, like, I don't feel good about this at all. Like, I can't stomach it. But it was not until he started acting up again the second time, once they were actually in the boardroom.
So
that's when she was starting to be like, okay, yeah, I'm going to say no. To your point, I hope Roman does it. He hesitates. He didn't. I need some air because this is crazy.
I can see what you're saying. To me, it's the and maybe I didn't explain it properly because I said that she's a no. To me, she's a no that needs to be pushed the other way. I think, like, in the room, she's a no. She's not going to do it, but she's looking for some reason to do it. And in the moment when there's, like, if the votes go out a certain way, if the Sandys vote yes,
yeah,
okay, whatever.
Doesn't have to.
I was a no, but it doesn't matter. It is what it is. I'll vote yes because it didn't matter anyway. And there is, when she says, I need a minute, and she goes and she leaves, she doesn't want to make the decision because she knows that, like, there's a ton of things that are playing a factor to her. If she says no, she kind of becomes her mom. She knows Tom is the guy. How does that power dynamic work? That there is, to a certain degree, quality in that relationship for the first time ever. Being that Tom is now the guy and she's just a name.
Did you hear Mark Mylod? So I heard the Succession podcast as well. I had to after that. Did you hear his take on Tom and Shiv and how he actually has hope for them? Whereas others are like, oh man, it's this like loveless thing. And I actually loved his take on it, which is that the power is a bit more balanced now.
It is balanced.
And so it actually does work, or can work, which I thought was super cool.
It works if either of them are healthy enough to understand or be okay with things being equal. And I don't know that either of them are, at least at this point. Shiv definitely isn't.
Oh, fair enough.
So yeah, if they were now healthy and things are equal, yeah, this is a great place to be in a relationship, right? But if you are someone who's so used to being king shit and everyone is subservient to you, and now you're on an equal playing field, it can be a bit of an adjustment. And
certainly.
So I'm hopeful. I don't have a lot of hope for them, but I know that they will last for a while. Once again, the Tom and Shiv thing bleed way It's too close to home in so many fucking ways.
Right.
Not necessarily in this relationship, but definitely relationships in the past.
Of course.
My current girlfriend just looks like shit. So to me, like when they're in the room, Roman doesn't care. I don't think deep down. Roman just wants to placate people. He wants to be on the side of wherever he's going to get the most love or basically attention.
I think he was enjoying the attention. Yes, I think that's what it was. Yeah.
So but the moment that kills it for Rome is I didn't kill the kid.
Yes.
And he's like, hold on, what? Because Kendall fucks it up there.
Yes, he does.
Kendall's done. I actually think there's a room where Kendall can speak to Shiv and Roman in that room and change Shiv's mind.
Yes, I agree. Because I don't think it was ever a solid no until
that's what
she threw everything at him until he floundered, which he would. And then she was validated in what she said.
He does the same thing Logan does, which is past a certain point, I'm just going to insult you. My favorite moment of that is in season 3 when Logan sends the donuts and Kendall's trying to get Connor and everybody to agree with him. And after a certain point, he's like, you know what? Fuck you, Connor. You don't even fucking matter. And he just insults everybody.
Yep.
That's Kendall's. I'm not getting my way. I'm just going to lambaste you.
I'm the eldest boy.
Right.
Starts yelling. Right. Which also isn't true.
It's not true. But then you also hear the story about in this episode that was, to me, it recontextualizes everything I feel about Kendall ever, which is that at 7 years old at fucking Candy Kitchen, Logan promised him the world. And that is fucked up on so many levels.
Of course.
Yeah, they nailed it. I think everybody ended where so you did watch you listened to the pods. Did you?
I did.
Did you? So you heard Jeremy Strong.
Yes.
And what he did on one of those takes. With Colin,
I did.
Where he wanted to jump off the fucking thing. And Kendall will forever be living in the shadow of this. He'll never get over this. I don't necessarily know if he kills himself immediately. I think there's probably another attempt at some point, or they're going to be a close call.
He falls into addiction minimum.
At a minimum. Because the way that the final frame of that show is Kendall sitting on the bench looking at the water.
Which was perfect, by the way. I'm glad.
Absolutely great.
I'm glad it wasn't something where he attempted to, or like you don't know if he does or doesn't.
I would have been fine with it.
I think it was a heck of a lot better to just let him stare and you decide.
It was a better decision. It is a better decision. But the thing of it is Colin being out of focus. And Jeremy Strong said something about this, but I forget exactly what he said about but the idea to me when I first saw it, before even hearing Jeremy, because when Jeremy said that he was going to go over this, I kind of recontextualized what I thought it meant for Jeremy. But for me, Colin knows everything. He knows everything about him. He knows what happened after the wedding. He was the one that helped cover it up. Kendall is a prison of the past, and Colin's almost like this warden overlooking him for the rest of his life. And he will forever be trapped by this, and he won't get past it. I'm hopeful because unlike Jesse Armstrong, I do have more faith in people, and I do believe people can change. It's a core tenet of my being.
Well, Jesse says so. Jesse says there was a different pod where he had admitted he's like, no, I do
Chris
think
Ryan
people
and
can
Andy
change, but it's very. What'd you say?
With Chris Ryan and Andy Greenwald,
I believe it was. Yeah.
Yeah, he's full of shit.
He does say it's very gradual.
Full of shit.
You think he's just saying that?
He was saying that to placate Chris and Andy without sounding too fucking nihilistic.
Fair enough.
It's the proof is in what he put out. I can see the art. I know how you feel.
Well, but I think what he's showing is that those types of people, it's nearly impossible for them to actually change, right? I mean, those you mentioned
no onus to
7 years old, right? He's promised the world. That's his entire purpose and being is like, I'm going to get this. And then all of a sudden he isn't. Like episode 1, I might be there for 5 years. And even that is a father speaking to not an adult son, but a child. I don't know, 5 years, 5, 10, 10. Like it is a kid talking to his dad. It is a 7-year-old. Like you're on timeout for 5 minutes. 10 minutes. 10, like again, that 5-10 thing to me completely symbolized how Logan even saw Kendall, right? The whole time.
So I was talking about the Memorial Day barbecue that we had in my family. And so me and my sister-in-law were talking about succession a lot. My brother, on the other hand, said, nope, not for me. And then I thought about it, and it's something that I had thought about, but I didn't realize how much it impacted him. Just a little personal for a second. My family is fairly well known in Washington, D.C. My grandfather in particular. There are multiple city blocks in Northeast off of Benning Road that is owned by my grandfather. He owned property all over New York, West Virginia, up and down the East Coast, Philly, all over. It was always a thing growing up. He used to take us out to the driving range out there in Northeast when I was a kid, me and my little cousins. And he would always do this thing where he'd promise you one day the keys of the kingdom basically will be yours. One day, all this stuff is going to be yours. And what he would do is that he would do that. And remember, I'm just a grandson. Right. He would do that in order for us to get buy-in to help him do shit. So if we was over there over the summer painting walls or getting rid of trash or fixing this. Or
you're dangling a carrot. Yeah. That's what Logan's doing. Yeah.
To hear what my dad went through from the moment that he was a small kid to the moment that you could, my dad will tell you to this day, he didn't slip out of his father's grasp until he's about 50, 55 years old.
Isn't that crazy?
It impacted him that fucking much.
Right?
And I saw it. I mean, I grew up with it. And you could see that was what the guilt trip that my grandfather kicked me out of my childhood home once. He's still alive, that prick, 90-some years old. Evil don't fucking die. He didn't Logan Roy it. But it's that shit that you then realize just that Succession should have two names. Succession, but also basically what our parents did to us should be the other name.
Yeah, honestly. And that's why I do feel for the characters at the same time. I know they're pricks, I know they're assholes, and they do some insane shit, but there's also there's the nature nurture thing. And when you're around that much money, affluence, etc., you can have whatever you want, and also you're getting all these promises. He promised it to all of them numerous times,
absolutely,
throughout the show, probably during their childhood, and it was just, I mean, I don't know. I think it was incredible.
I don't feel sorry for them as much as maybe you do, but even with knowing the contextualization of my family,
so no, I don't feel sorry for them from that they didn't get the company.
No, but what their parents did to them. Now, here's the thing. Even with living with my dad and living with the experiences, I don't feel bad for that. Because I will say this, and this is something that doesn't get said enough because I think everybody tries to fucking coddle everybody at this point in time.
Sure.
If you're an adult and you're aware that your parents fucked you up, it is your responsibility not to impact other people with your shit. So there is a certain responsibility that you have as an adult that you need to go get your shit figured out.
Yeah,
especially
I would agree.
Impacting other,
and it's hard, but
it's hard. Yes. But it's part of the work on being a fucking adult. You're not a kid, which is why we look at them three like fucking kids. They revert back to being children too many fucking times. They rely on the shit that there is responsibility that you have to take for yourself, being a grown ass person, to take care of your shit. And we do too much on coddling motherfuckers in that way, in my opinion.
I would completely agree with that. Completely. And so in that respect, I don't feel totally sorry for them, but I can bet maybe
you should feel empathetic.
Or understand.
You should absolutely feel
empathize or understand,
but not let them off the hook.
No, I'm certainly not letting him off the hook. Dude, kill the guy. Anyway, one other thing I wanted to mention is that I think some people felt that it was very conveniently placed, the "we're bullshit, we're nothing" line by Roman, and I think it felt convenient because it really wrapped a bow on the whole thing for us. I will also say, episode 1, his very first scene, he does say, just look at all this bullshit. He literally, once he knows the game is over, it's almost like he goes right back to where he was in episode 1. And he goes, look at all this. And he's like, yes, good work. Good job, everybody. Yeah, excellent. He he just went back to, all right, yeah, it is all bullshit. And it was perfect.
Fuck those people.
It was perfect.
No, it's Roman had, when we were talking about the pre-grieving shit and all that stuff with Roman, right? Mm-hmm. Roman has this mostly figured out. He just can't get out of his own way most of the time.
Yes.
Roman knows. You see it on the election night. None of this matters, dude.
Yep.
None of it matters. Like, we are playing on a level, like, it doesn't fucking matter. We get to make these decisions right now, but who the fuck are we? Like, it doesn't matter. Like,
yes.
Roman
it's
has
always been who he is. Yeah.
Always. It doesn't change the fact that there are other aspects where you see Roman is the most in touch with his feelings. He's just not doing anything about it. Like, the Roman is
because he's the youngest and he got bullied growing up.
He's not the youngest. Shiv's technically the youngest.
Oh yeah, okay, that's right.
But he does act it sometimes, at least the way that
definitely
we would think stereotypically.
He definitely acts it.
But the thing with Roman is that he's always sort of known more than others have, and he's also been the most emotionally grounded, even though fucked up, of anyone. If you think about the episode where Logan's wake thing, where Carrie is getting treated the way that she is by Marcia, who's the first one to go run over and try to help? It's Rome. Rome, even with what he did to Jerry, feels terrible about it. He's the only one out of the three that legitimately always feels bad about shit that is happening, because as much as he wants to say it's all bullshit, he does know about the negative impact that he is having on people. It's just part of him trying to feel bad about it for himself. He beats himself up for it. He likes to be punished for it. It's even crossed over into a sexual territory.
Yes.
Like, that's how he's fucked up, but he knows he's fucked up.
It was just an incredible show. And I honestly just don't.
God, you gotta watch The Wire.
I do have to watch The Wire. I mean, I'm finishing up Ted Lasso, so I mean, I'm gonna have space for a new show. It was just incredible.
Well, The Ringer did a couple things over the last few years, and me and Keem have been talking about it. So they ranked every Succession episode from worst to best not too long ago.
Wow.
So I just finished rewatching day before yesterday, season 4 again of Succession, because now that it was complete, I wanted to see the full picture of season 4. And now next week I'm going to start a complete rewatch of the series.
Okay.
Because even the thing was, rewatching the season 4 aspect was like, there were certain things that I've seen every episode this season at a minimum 3 times each, but to see it truncated together in this way, it really brings the timeline home.
Interesting.
When Logan's talking about, like, there's 48 hours until the board vote on the Gojo deal. And you're like, holy shit. And then you think about that and you're like, wow, there's no time that's passed at all on this thing.
Yeah.
You think about the 48 hours to the Gojo deal. Then after the karaoke night, let's push back the Gojo deal so we can talk to Mattson. Then I'm on a plane to go see Mattson and push back the Gojo deal. It was supposed to happen right there. What happens? Oops, I'm dead. Then it's just so fast. And rewatching it together was like, holy fucking shit, man.
Yeah.
But I do want to do a top 10 ranking on the episodes, but I've stayed away from the Ringer article, so I have my own top 10.
Oh, fair enough. I like that.
And the other thing that they did was the greatest series finales of all time, which I thought was a very, very interesting list. There are so many shows. Like, have you seen 6 Feet Under?
Mm-mm.
I don't know if I'd tell you to add that one to the list. I don't know if you'll love it, but there's so many quality shows. I've caught myself, what I was doing over the last week, or rewatching series finales, at least the penultimate episode and then the series finale. Sopranos is still king, baby.
Okay.
There's no better finale, in my opinion, than what the Sopranos did.
Everyone talks about it.
The thing is that everyone that talks about it now in that sense will also be the first one. And if there's no reason to lie about it, but they're lying to you if they don't tell you that in the moment that it happened and the ending of the episode happens, we were all angry. Universally. We all, like, if we all could have ranked it in the immediate aftermath, we would have ranked it as 0 out of 10.
Wow.
That's what the Sopranos
that's
did.
intriguing. Okay.
That's what the Sopranos could do to you. It's great, but that's once again why I say, if I can put Succession over the Sopranos, how much that means to me. The Sopranos means so much to me.
Yeah.
What that show meant, me and my dad bonding over it, even in The Wire, just what HBO and that primetime lineup was like. To go from it was insane.
Okay.
Sex and the City, and then
did you see the last bit before I have to go here, but did you see the I think I sent you the tweet. So there was the like prediction one where they get into, you know, the baseball and stuff like that. But there was also the Kendrick DNA one. Did you see that?
I saw that.
Oh, I love that edit.
It was good.
I thought that edit was absolutely awesome.
There's some really great stuff happening around Succession, and people that do think that you tell they just love the show, and it's and that's what you heard Jesse on that pod with Andy and Chris saying how like after every season he did his best not to dive into anything that anyone was saying, but now that it's over, he'll be able to swim in Succession, and
that's cool. I really like that.
So like he's going to, so he's like, you're gonna be sick of me on podcasts because it's the only thing that everybody's seen that I've done. I'm not doing anymore. So, and I will put this prediction out there: there will be something Succession related that comes back out within the next 5 to 7 years. I almost guarantee you that.
I hope it doesn't happen.
Just
because I don't know what else there is to do.
Just depends for me. I here's what I'll say: I trust Jesse. And it depends on what he wants to do. The same way that me and Keem get in a debate about this all the time. I think El Camino hurt the legacy of Breaking Bad.
Big time. It was a money grab. It didn't do anything.
And I also think so. Like The Sopranos also did something kind of similar, but it was a prequel at least. Which thank God they didn't do anything after the fact. Which is they made the movie The Many Saints of Newark, which was a prequel to the Sopranos series.
You got to nail that too, though, because if you don't, like, that is also part of the So see, that's the thing. So if they're going to hurt
the legacy, didn't hurt the legacy though,
because it was a prequel. You could be safer with that, but
it's not even that. It's just everybody. There's expectations. When it was announced that David Chase, the maker of The Sopranos, was making a movie, not a TV show, a movie about a prequel to The Sopranos. Everyone knew this isn't going to be good. And we accepted it. And there was a cauterization that happened between the show and what the movie was going to be. And it worked out. So I just think the variables can be different. If Jesse says, hey, we're going to do a 2-hour movie, I don't know what to expect. My expectations are pretty high because of what you did with the show. But I don't know what to expect because you don't have a movie under your belt that I can compare it to. David Chase did have a movie that I could compare it to, and it was bad. So it's like, I don't think you can work in this medium.
I think if it were just some sort of like Tom's upbringing type thing, that'd be interesting. Or like the kids' upbringing or something like that.
Tom and Shiv and how they first met. Or
that would be sort of a sweet thing. And then you're like, man. And then, it's actually a very happy, nice movie and stuff like that. And then you go and like it ends and you're just like, and that led to that. Like, you know, I think that could actually, there's an idea.
For a Mencken show. Like the idea that like the Newsroom, which was a show that was also on HBO.
Oh yeah,
I think I liked it a lot. I never thought it lived up to what the pilot was.
The final season I didn't enjoy that much, but
the pilot of that show is so high to me. I just never thought it got back to that.
It couldn't.
I was always slightly disappointed.
It couldn't.
Yeah, you got to. Aaron Sorkin, you are capable of doing that. You got to. The idea that we've talked about this, is so hard to do satire. And you've had a guy nail capitalism, rich families, things like that. To have him completely play in the political landscape at this level, to me, would be incredible. I think it's a natural fit. I wish they would just do even if it was ATN. Just what is ATN now? ATN is just his Jesse Armstrong's version of the Newsroom. Sign me the fuck up. Like
that would be interesting.
I just want to see him play in
the writing was brilliant.
Yeah.
The writing was amazing. Oh man, what a show. And it's something I normally wouldn't watch, but what a show. It was so good.
HBO, you got to give them if HBO's coming out with something, you got to give it a shot.
You got to give it a shot. Yeah, I would agree with that. Similar to like Pixar. When Pixar comes out with a movie, you just know the floor is high. What Pixar movie did you just think of where you disagree?
I like Pixar. There's not a Pixar movie I don't like. I don't think.
Right. So the floor is
I'm
high.
looking forward to Elemental. Yeah, the floor is high, but it's...
Dude,
I don't want to shit on Pixar.
Yeah, you shouldn't.
I just got back, and I wanted to tell the story, but I'm gonna save it for next week if we remember it.
Yeah, sure.
I saw it Across the Spider-Verse yesterday.
Right. Yeah.
And if I compare this to any Pixar movie, I'm like, y'all can do more. Y'all could do so much better. It's, to me, Pixar becomes saccharine in some ways, in the sense of they know the beats. Every Pixar movie has the same.
They have the same template.
We're gonna make you laugh like this. We're gonna make you cry here. We're gonna make you cry again here. And it's like, you don't need to do that. Like, it's like the formula is great.
The formula is excellent. It works.
It's great. You're starting to lose me. I stopped going to Pixar movies in the theaters a while ago because I don't want to look like a child toucher. And it's,
the thing is, so long as people are having kids,
I loved Coke.
They're going to keep it the same, because ultimately it is best for kids. The adults get some too, but it's ultimately for kids.
But Spider-Man movies.
Okay. Well, I'll have to check out the Spider-Man movie.
Even the Lego movie. I'm a huge fan.
Oh, loved the Lego movie. That was great. The Lego movie was awesome. Okay, it seems like we could go on forever. I gotta go.
Go watch Across the Spider-Verse.
Go watch Across the Spider-Verse
and The Wire and all things HBO. God damn it!
I'll have to turn around. It's summer, man. Let's see if the air quality continues to suck. Then
this is especially staying in time since I had time. It's fucking hot. It's humid. It sucks outside.
Okay.
The air is trying to kill you right now. Stay inside and watch shit.
Let's leave it at that.
In DC, we're just hoping that you listen.